Lots of interesting stuff again to cover today about Hedera Hashgraph as we see some of those key metrics continue to spike. You may have seen it across different socials, and I'll be diving into some of those metrics later on in the video. News just in though, Visa has partnered with FTX to offer crypto debit cards across 40 different countries. So this latest partnership between Visa and FTX is looking in order to roll out those services across 40 different nations, which of course, again, continues to bridge the gap between cryptocurrencies and the traditional finance world. So the two different worlds of almost DeFi and TradFi are becoming ever closer. Again, further exposure for cryptocurrencies and utilization out into the future. Always bullish news to see stuff like this. Unfortunately, the other day on October the 7th, we saw $930 billion being wiped out from the US stock market. So you can see the main indices here, broken down into a sector level for the main equities across them, all sharply in the red zone. And again, this is going back to that hawkish momentum that the Fed has been building in ramping up those interest rates, which tend to lead to massively de-risking of portfolios, of course, significantly affecting the crypto markets. And this is a sort of trend that will continue to play out for the remainder of 2022 up into early 2023 until we see the terminal velocity of those interest rates come to fruition. BSC's token hub bridge as well was exploited a few hours ago. The hacker took 2 million BNB worth around $570 million. Most of those stolen funds got blacklisted / paused, and the hacker is now left with about 80 million of stolen funds. The exploit could have theoretically been used to drain all assets on the Binance Smart Chain, totaling over $10 billion, but the hacker only took 2 million BNB, or $500 million for practicality reasons. The hacker was able to bridge out 110 million from BSC to other chains before BSC got paused. So the response effectively from Binance was to pause the Binance Smart Chain. The bug is in the proof verifier of the bridge, in which the hacker walked up to the bridge and told it, hey, I transferred 1 million BNB to you on the Beacon chain, bridge and give me the BNB on BSC. Here's the proof that I transferred it to the Beacon chain. The hacker lied to the bridge effectively and provided an invalid proof that was incorrectly accepted as a valid by the bridge due to this bug. The bug is somewhere in the GitHub repository. Not sure exactly the bug is right now, but Sam shared one possibility. So Sam here saying 5 hours ago, an attacker stole 2 million BNB from the Binance bridge. During that time, I've been working closely with multiple parties to triage and resolve the issues. And then he explains how it went down. Some more observations and predictions about the incident. The hacker is a young developer with some cryptography experience. Doesn't seem to be a DeFi native or a seasoned hacker. The proof falsification likely includes some basic brute forcing. When BSC unpauses, which I believe it is now, it might be a bloodbath because of all the paused liquidations and such. I don't think that's happened, and it is now unpaused. And I think effectively Binance will be taking this on the chin. Unfortunately, it's one of these incidents that realistically almost couldn't be avoided if you were an investor, whether you were on-chain or off-chain. The chain itself got exploited in this case, not actually the Binance platform, the bridge function. Great response from them so far, though, in terms of how they're handling that. Now, moving on to some of this Hedera-related news. Interesting, as of October 22, Hedera Hbar has actually overtaken Cardano or ADA in total value locked on the respective networks. As we look at these charts, which are being pulled data from DeFi Llama itself, we can see there's $97 million of total value locked over on the Cardano chain. And if we jump across to Hedera, we can actually see that there is now $102.81 million of total value locked on the Hedera chain. Now, of course, this is really interesting because if you look at the differences in market caps between Cardano and Hedera, they're of course significant. Cardano being a top 10 cryptocurrency and Hbar being in the somewhere remit of 30 to 40 in terms of market caps. Interesting as well, if you look at some other threads that have been published over the last week or so, here's one from this guy called Evan at $20 billion. The ADA zombie chain is a top 5 blockchain by market cap. This is a graph of DeFi by chain. So this was back on the 30th of September. He posted this, and you can see effectively the Cardano slice is somewhere in here. It's effectively not even visible when you compare it to some of these other large scale chains which have a massive share of DeFi. After all, years ago, Charles confidently declared that DeFi is easy and that Ethereum's network doesn't effect doesn't exist. More than 2 years later from this tweet, Cardano is a total zombie chain, not even doing 1 transaction per second. You can see the proof here from some different metrics effectively of what's being processed. If we scroll down further as well, we can see the point with these tweets is that we should understand why so many people look at crypto from the outside and think it's all a scam. If we want to change that, we have to do better. It's a collective problem. And it goes back to what we've discussed a lot on this channel in terms of use cases being one of the fundamental reasons as to why a project should do well in the future. I think majority of the existing Hedera community understands that, and that is why there's a lot of belief in the project going forward into the future. It is being built from the ground up to support enterprise use case applications. And of course, they're the ones that are really going to be driving the adoption. You've got opposite chains, for example, like Cardano here, which seems to command an egregious market cap respective to some other cryptocurrency projects. Yet realistically, not much is actually happening in terms of real world uses for that chain in particular. You've got other chains as well that obviously command really high market caps, but have issues with security. You've got the likes of Solana. And Hedera is one of many as well. Of course, there are other chains like Abrdn, for example, who are very, very solid layer 1 projects, but they don't quite command the market cap yet. And this is what many people are talking about. There's going to be a massive belief and investment shift potentially in 2023, 2024, 2025. Basically, over the next couple of years, you're going to see a lot of this current capital in the markets potentially flow away from these old school style layer 1 projects, which haven't really done much with themselves over the past 5, 6, 7 years, and flow into these much more utilitarian focused projects like Hedera Hashgraph. And that is, of course, why I'm incredibly bullish on it. News just in as well, 12,000 crypto projects have ceased trading this year, which was a report from Nomics. So again, talking about these different technologies. And unfortunately, there are a lot of different cash grabs with these projects that get set up in order to effectively take advantage of the latest fad within the space, receive a ton of funding, and then they effectively fizzle out because they didn't have that forward-thinking nature that, of course, projects that we talk about on this channel like Hedera and Quant have to continue building, particularly in these bear markets. Right then, what was I talking about when I mentioned key metrics for Hedera? Now, many of you, of course, are incredibly interested in the TPS, as that is, again, one of the main utility-based sections, or where a lot of the utility effectively comes from for Hedera itself. So if we actually look on Metrica right now, I've got it flipped over to the 1 day range. We can see that over the last day or so, the average TPS has jumped significantly to 51.23 transactions per second, with a max TPS of 364 transactions per second. In fact, if we look from sort of October the 8th, it's even slightly higher. And we've had recently, over the past several hours at this point, transactions per second above 80, approaching 100, which is incredibly bullish. Some more tweets as well over on Twitter. Step function happening live on Hedera mainnet. 260,000 transactions on the mainnet in the last hour. Peak transactions of 381 per second. Still ongoing. This is it. This is what we have been waiting for. And of course, this potentially could be some of those blue chip use cases that we've spoken about at length, Coupon Bureau and Atma.io, to name many. In fact, if I jump over right now to Hedera transactions, the tool built by Lehman Baird, we can see right here, right now, the testnet running at 5, we just jumped 500 transactions per second, and the mainnet keeps hovering and bouncing between 60 to 120 transactions per second, and it has been sustaining that for days at this point. There we go, back up to 108 transactions per second on the mainnet right now. So something is clearly happening on both of the different servers, and this could be the beginning of something large happening across the future. Maybe some additional announcements from those major use cases of Atma or the Coupon Bureau. And I know there were some others in the works as well. Time will tell as to what is happening, but this is very, very good news indeed for Hedera. And of course, each one of these transactions is collecting those fees and then pushing us ever closer as well to the native staking rewards on the network. Not only that, we can see again some Lunar Crush insights. So 2 hours ago, the Hbar social engagement measured hourly hit 10.36 million, which is 1,009% above the 7-day average. So we can see a ton of social media engagements taking place across the Hedera network. And this has been happening over the span of a few months now. We get these metrics every now and again from Lunar Crush. showing that Hedera Hashgraph is trending on many of these different social medias. Some of this also may be coming from the fact that Coinbase is now accepting deposits for Hbar, again, on their Coinbase Pro side of their systems effectively. So we can see from these screenshots that you are now able to deposit, and you can see the wallet addresses are working as intended with the 0.0 styling. Of course, we saw that got delayed effectively for the Coinbase listing for Hbar because they were using the incorrect kind of schemas for wallet IDs and private key or public keys. I have a dedicated video talking about that. However, their revised timeline was sometime in October. So very good news that this is now working on Coinbase Pro. Then this should be probably pushed across to the main Coinbase platform, I would presume in the next couple of days, maybe weeks, if they're on some looser timelines. Very bullish news indeed, and what many people have been waiting for. Of course, as well, some other major news that's been floating around for Hedera at the moment is, of course, the 3 new governing council members. The first of those has now been revealed. So first we saw banks like DBS Bank, SB Group and Nomura, as well as Shinhan join the Hedera Governing Council. But today we witness a maturation of the market, welcoming the first global investment company, Abrdn PLC, which has around $530 billion of assets under management, to the council. And we can see here that they have joined the Hedera Governing Council in a move to transform existing structural inefficiencies in the fund management industry using DLTs. Abrdn is currently examining prospects for the tokenization of investment funds, citing Hedera's strong governance, operational efficiency, and environmental sustainability as key factors in their decision and efforts to drive modernization in fund management. And of course, fund management being worth literally trillions of dollars globally. We look forward to the new insights Abrdn will bring to the council, as well as the exploration of collaborative opportunities with existing council members that provide services for the fund management industry, including banks, law firms, and tech companies. So those other major players on the Hedera Governing Council potentially are working together and will seek to improve Hedera and utilize and leverage the different tools available throughout the ecosystem to transform those structural inefficiencies in the fund management industry. Again, this could be an absolute game changer if they do actually stumble across something that can be rolled out on a global level to improve those different aspects. Another reason why Hedera is going to continue to do well over the coming years and decades. 100-year company, of course. Talking about DEXs, I wanted to quickly touch on before I round up the video. HELISWAP or HELISWAP is now live. We can see here the different swap features are working as intended. We can also see on the pools, there are some different yield farms available, of course, being similar to SAUCERSWAP. We can already see there's nearly $2 million of TVL in the HBAR pool, and there's some different farms as well as you connect your wallet. I may quickly do a dedicated tutorial, a short form version video for this platform. However, realistically, it is of course very similar to SAUCERSWAP. They are using smart contracts in the same manner, and all that kind of information. SAUCERSWAP Labs as well, though, of course, never ending with their DeFi roadmaps. We can see that the trader-focused DEX is what they're going for now. Our next UI update will better help you navigate the burgeoning DeFi ecosystem on Hedera. So, of course, you can see here, this is obviously some of the imagery from their analytics pages with the candle time interval charts. And there you can see that. So potentially there's going to be some interface upgrades there to see more live price information and trend information before you make a trade. And you can see more there saying when are limit orders coming. Potentially it's something that they'll be looking to in the future. As well as that, things like accumulation of rewards is currently in their roadmap. And we can see here to provide user specific information in the UI, impermanent loss, for example, value gain from LP swap fees, all coming out to our bottom line. This will allow for a more centralized exchange like trading experience while preserving users' full custody of all assets. So again, another major step forward that they're looking to make for the SAUCERSWAP platform. Anyway, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this update video. If you did, leave a like, drop a comment if you've got something to say. I do try and respond to as many of them as I can. More videos coming next week. I'll catch you then. Cheers.